Make sure it's local. Oh well.
We good to go?
Yeah, we live.
We live.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome you to a very, very special edition of the Wrestling Wrealm NOW podcast. See, tonight is no ordinary night. No, tonight we are here to party. We have a very, 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 very special guest joining us tonight. But first, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to switch the vibe up a little bit right after this.
Drums, please. This is how we do it. It's a party, it's a party, it's a party.
Houston, we have a problem.
Yes! What you gonna do? 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 What you gonna do?
And welcome to the Wrestling Wrealm NOW podcast, where we take a deeper dive into the world of professional wrestling. Now, you can watch all of our Wrestling Wrealm content anytime, anywhere, not really, on youtube.com/The Wrestling Wrealm. I am your host, the realness himself, the real Dwayne Allen. He is your host, Brian H. Waters. He is your host, Brandon the Guy, and conspicuous by his absence, he is still your host, has the third brother Hugh, H to the A to the S, T to the H to the E, 3 to the R to the D. You can follow us on all social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Wrestling Wrealm. Like, subscribe, and engage in the conversation with us. You can also stream and download all of our audio content on Anchor, Stitcher, Podbean, Pocket Cast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. You can watch us and subscribe to our Twitch channel at The Wrestling Wrealm. Gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
We are here, and we are ready to party. Come on, man. Y'all gotta get your energy up, man. This is a party.
Yes, sir. Been
I
waiting
was
for
trying to hit
this
a
all
sound
day.
bite. It didn't come through. I
Why is it not coming through? Can you hear the sound bites? I hear the applause.
I didn't hear
I
the
hear it.
first one.
Let's
You
go.
know, I was waiting for that.
I get you one more time. Here we go. One more time.
I'm gonna do like Dwayne. That's his move.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are here because we have a very, very, very special guest today. This is not business as usual. This is the first edition, the first ever of our guest series known as the Wrestling Wrealm Podcast Party. Now, you ask yourself, what is exactly the Wrestling Wrealm NOW Podcast Party? I'm glad you asked. It's our special guest series where we bring on our colleagues, friends, and family alike, special guests to join us for a good time. And today, we have none other than the OG himself, Docta D, Daryl Johnson. I'm talking about a true OG in the game. We're talking about somebody that's been doing this long before we have this. He was doing it before this was even a thing. He was making his way through this industry before it was even a cool thing to do. So with that being said,
Hold on 1 second before he comes on. I gotta get ready. I gotta get dressed. Hold on.
Oh, hold on. Brother Brandon's got to get dressed. Look at that. Look at that.
All right, we ready. We good. I got
Brother Brandon,
belt. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Are you being a belt king? You want to tell us what belt that you have on your shoulder for tonight? That should be a thing now. We're just gonna ask you. So, what belt do you have on your shoulder today?
So, and most wrestling people know this is called the 10 pounds of gold. But if you know Docta D, this is the Docta D belt. Because you don't see Docta D without the belt. So this is the Docta D belt for tonight. Yes, it's the 10 pounds of gold. I'm gonna just leave it at that. It's the Docta D belt for tonight.
Well, if you want to support the Wrestling Wrealm, you can head over to WrestlingWrealm.com and you can shop everything Wrestling Wrealm. We have t-shirts, mugs, and all of our merchandise. Also, we ask you to subscribe to our Patreon channel. That's right. For all bonus exclusive shows, head over to patreon.com/wrestling_realm. That's patreon.com for all exclusive shows and bonus material. And guess what? If you're looking to purchase tickets to concerts, live shows, sporting events, and more, head over to SeatGeek.com, where you can use promo code Wrestling Wrealm to save $20 on any one-time purchase of $50 or more. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Tickets cost $1,000 these days, so I can almost guarantee you, if it's your first time purchasing from SeatGeek, you can use promo code Wrestling Wrealm to get $20 off of your purchase. Now, with that being said, Brother Brandon, you had a very, very, very special week, didn't you, sir?
Absolutely. It was a good week. It was week 1 of many more to come. So, week 1 dropped. I'm sorry, episode 1 dropped of Championship Culture. What they like to say, every belt has a story. So that dropped yesterday. Did a special live almost feed to get to that point. So a lot of people likes it, got a lot of engagement. But if you want to check out Championship Culture every Tuesday, it's going to be a chance for you to know anything you want to know about a belt. I'm probably going to answer it with the help of myself and some special guests coming up. And just so we know, be on the lookout because, like I said, this Tuesday, it's going to be an all-out brawl. It's going to be one for the ages that you don't want to miss. If you paid attention to any of the Wrestling Wrealm, you'll know it's always been debate. Which one is the better one? The Winged Eagle. I've got it on the show. The Winged Eagle or the Big Eagle. And I just want to know why the Big Eagle is your favorite. So tune in on Tuesday and we'll discuss that and figure out why the Big Eagle is the better belt.
You know what the crazy part is? You know what the crazy part is? You don't have to wait until Tuesday. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We have a special clip. If you missed episode 1 of Championship Culture with Brandon, the guy, take a listen.
Now, in this first episode, I want to go ahead and get straight to the point, just like our title card said. Because oftentimes I'm asked, which one is your favorite? You might think with over 100 plus belts, it's kind of hard to narrow down the favorite. But just like I said, every belt has a story. And let me tell you the story of this belt and why it is my favorite.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That was just a small clip of Championship Culture. Anything else you want to say about Championship Culture, Brother Brandon? What can people expect? What can they look forward to when they check out Championship Culture for the most part?
Put it like this. If it's a belt-related anything, you're going to see it on Championship Culture. If it's a thing that you need to get answered, it's education going to happen, fun stories, outrageous stories. It might be some association with the belts. You name it, it's going to be something with that belt. So check out every Tuesday, exclusively on YouTube. If you like and subscribe, you'll always get the notification to know when the next episode is dropping. So always on Tuesdays, just be ready. We're here to tell you about some belts.
All right. Speaking of belts, we got to get into our special guest today. He is an avid belt collector himself. Dr. D, Daryl Johnson. Now, brothers, this is a party, right? This is an occasion, right? And as you can see, I've kind of set the atmosphere. You see, we got Club Intellect in the building. You see that? You see our lounge area, right? Now, I got to go into a little mood. All right. Now, you know when I put these on, I'm going into a mood. So I know Doc is backstage, and I know you can hear us, brother. So I want you to jam out to these smooth tunes that we're about to boogie to, because guess what? It's a party. I'm about to get into Dr. D's intro. Here we go. I gotta set the mood though. Hold on, here we go. There it is. That's right. I know y'all hear the music playing in your ears. Today is a very special day here at Club Intellect with DJ Weezy Wee in the building, stepping in for the real Dwayne Allen as we introduce our very special guest today. But sometimes, in order to put yourself in the vibe, you gotta let the music play. I'm here for a good time. You're here for a good time. And tonight, we are gonna have a good time. Not only has this man been in this business for such a long time, he has paved the way for young content creators like ourselves. And tonight, if you don't know who this man is, I promise you will when it's all said and done. Now, with that being said, let me tell you guys a little bit about my brother, Dr. D, Daryl Johnson. Here we go. Dr. D has been a fixture in this industry for over 16 years as a content creator, an executive producer, a commentator, a reporter who has showcased the best of the best in pro wrestling throughout the country, from legends, Hall of Famers, stars of today, and future premier talent, as well as supported and sponsored countless events throughout the East Coast. Dr. D has been recognized by many contemporaries, as an unsung hero of this business. And in all due respect, his most proudest accomplishment has been the Dr. D Memorial Award, presented to him by Capital Championship Wrestling. It's now an annual award that will be given every year to individuals who have given tirelessly to the pro wrestling industry behind the scenes without gratitude and recognition they rightfully deserve. Until now, it was Dr. D himself who was honored to present future recipients of such prestigious achievement. Ladies and gentlemen, like you to join me as I sit back to these smooth tunes and welcome our good brother, Doctor D, Daryl Johnson, to the show. There it is. Come on, bring him in. Dr. D. There he is. Come on, brother.
Show you right.
Come on, man. I'm jamming. I told you it's a party, man. I got
My man.
He wasn't
The
expecting
story
that.
does go like this. Finally, what took you so long, bro?
Talk to him, Doc.
I'm liking this party right here. I'm live anyway out here at MGM National Harbor, so I'm setting the mood right along with you. You know what I mean?
Oh wow.
Man, I appreciate you joining us, Doc, man. This is what it is, man. See, Brother Raj, I knew Brother Raj would know what I was doing, man. I had to set the mood for you, man. I had to set the mood for you, sir. I hope we did you justice, man, with your bio. We definitely appreciate you being here with us for the first edition of the Wrestling Wrealm NOW podcast party, where we invite our very special guests to join us. And tonight, brother, I mean, I can't thank you enough. I'm honored to have you on our show. You know what I mean? This is
y'all family. You know,
Man.
I think about y'all often when I'm at the Indies. You know, I'll speak on that a little bit later, but had to show up for y'all, man. I mean, it's very important, and I'll talk about it a little later while I say hello to Matt, hello to those wrestling girls, Flex Zone, hello to everybody that's in the chat. I definitely want people to see what a decade and a half going to 20 years is like, because this is a beautiful thing now to see so many of this family cultivated as it is today. But I'm glad that this moment is happening so that people can see where the foundation of what everybody's doing right now. So
come on, man. That's excellent, man. I'm gonna give you a round of applause for that.
yeah,
That's right. Come on, let everybody hear. Come on, bring it in.
Yeah.
Bring it in. I want to give you a round of applause for that, brother. I definitely appreciate you joining us in all your kind words, man. For those that don't know you, Dr. D, we know you as Dr. D. You know as Daryl Johnson. You know, in the regular world, you've done so much in this industry. You've done so much for content creators. For the people that don't know you or may not be familiar with the work, just tell them briefly about who you are, how long you've been doing this. I know we read your bio, but let the people know exactly who Dr. D really is.
as always, Dr. D is the Doctor of Devastation, the Almanac of Information, the original wrestling marks of excellence. And I am indeed not apologizing for being a mark for this business. I love that word. I love that word. What it is you're just looking at a guy who years ago was always a fan, but as the social media bubble was beginning to burst at a time when you see how some out there was trying to, I guess, get their start and how they were doing things with talking about wrestling, it still wasn't the way I wanted it done. It still wasn't the way people that have known me have seen it. It's still original. And the thing is, because the formula back then still works now, that's what Dr. D has always been about. It's always been about being a fan of pro wrestling and being a fan of the fan. And that's what this whole showcase has been about for going on 20 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can't
All right.
mute it, brother.
Dwayne.
My bad. Sorry, I hit the mic.
Yeah.
One of the things I've always said about you, Doc, from the very beginning was that since I've met you, you were always gracious to help us younger guys as we were coming into the game. And the one thing that sticks out to most about me is just how much foresight that you've always had and how much of an eye for talent that you've always had. If for those that don't know, Doc is the one guy that as soon as somebody blows up or wins the title, Doc's going to post the first picture that they probably ever took as a wrestler. Doc has always went and found these superstars before they were superstars. I remember Doc, I believe it was you and Corey that did Adam Cole's first interview before there was a place to even put the platform for these type of videos. Correct. Like I remember when I first saw it, I said, you got to be kidding me, Doc. Like before YouTube was a thing, before it was open to the public, Dr. D was there to do Adam Cole's first interview. And that was kind of the blueprint for so many superstars throughout the years. So it's like, as soon as somebody debuts to the main roster on WWE, AEW, a pick goes up when Doc met them almost 5, 6, 10 years ago. And I said, man, that's a true testament to how much you have a respect for this industry, because a lot of people wouldn't stay on that level. You know what I mean? A lot of people treat that level as a stepping stone to the next phase, man. But to see what you've done, to see you stay genuine, to see you stay committed to it, and to always be there for us and so many others and lend a helping hand and wonderful advice, brother. I can't thank you enough for what you've done for me. Like I said, when I first met you, you treated me like family, and it's been that way ever since. And we're talking about 10 plus years. And every time I get a chance to, I don't care what anybody says, I'm going to keep thanking you and tell you how much I appreciate you and what you do, because you've done so much and you haven't gotten the credit that you have deserved. Like you say, you haven't received the gratitude, but congratulations on the award that's been named after you. It's because if somebody embodies the spirit of what that really means, Doc, it's always been you. So like I said, man, I just wanted to let that be said, man. And this once again, I'm gonna give you another round of applause, man, because you deserve it.
Thank you, man. I always need people like the Wrestling Wrealm that keep me lifted. You know what I mean? Quiet as it's kept, sometimes I can feel a certain way. But then I look to you guys for how y'all been doing it for so long and how y'all always showed me love. And hey, it keeps me going. You know what I mean? What's up, fam? I see you, man. I see you. Those wrestling girls asked me about the jacket. I thought Queen seen it before. Maybe that's Krista. I don't know. But shout out to those wrestling girls. Shout out to Ciendo, the third member. Well, minority. She just had a birthday as well. So.
Mm-hmm. No, that's excellent. So, Doc, listen, sir, we here for a reason.
Go ahead.
And this is what we all have come to do every year, sir. We need your expertise. This is why we invited you on the show. And listen, some things have transpired in such a short time. And I said, oh wow, for Doc to come on for the first time we're doing this, man, we have the perfect gentleman. So, Doc, we have some things to address.
Let's go.
We a bombshell was dropped on us. Monday Night Raw, right? Triple H himself made his way to the ring, and lo and behold, there was a display with a curtain over top of it, only to find out that a new championship title was unveiled. Now, here on the Wrestling Wrealm, we're very opinionated, Doc, and and we all have been waiting like the last couple of days, like we've been saving all of our fresh takes for this moment right here. So Triple H made the decision that now with the WWE draft coming up, whatever brand drafts Roman Reigns, he will stay on that brand exclusively and will keep the the undisputed WWE Universal Championship, and it will be considered one title, right? Leading him to unveil or in this case, kind of bringing back the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, ultimately splitting it from the WWE Championship, in which it was absorbed. And he unveiled the title, and it looks very different. And there's been a lot of mixed reviews about it, but we're finally here to discuss it. This is where the party gets started. So, Brother Brian, Brother Brandon, I hope you guys are ready. We're gonna start with you, Doc.
Okay.
First and foremost, I need. Go ahead. I know
say, Brandon. I hear you.
No, I said he said, "I hope you're ready." You knew I was ready.
Yeah,
I saw a little bit of what you talked about on your IG, so yeah, I knew you had to have words. But let me. But I
want to hear the Doctor D take on it because I want to see if he's going to match up with some of my theories.
Well, let's slow walk this.
Let's do like this is why we brought. Come on, man! It's no other way to do this.
Let's slow walk this. So, we knew it was coming. We knew we've been hearing rumblings about it for like a year or so now. We heard from the split to what the quote unquote experts were talking about it. It's not like it wasn't new, but but now we here. But now we here, and I gotta tell you, if anybody knows me, knows of course my nephew, Mr. My Kicks and My Fix,
my man,
the wizard, nephew Corey, one half of the original firm. Just so people need to recognize that,
including AEW.
Listen, but
they owe you a check. Doc.
As much as Corey and I talk, we never talked late at night about anything pressing, about this title, about any title. But knowing him is like we were texting at first, just late at night about this, and then it was like, okay, let me call. Let's just have this conversation. Let's just have this conversation. So, all right, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
We're here now. We're here now. But my thing is, one thing I gotta say about it is, they could have at least put the eagle on it. They have room for the eagle, but they just needed that big W for some reason in the middle. That big wide W in the middle. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But my thing is, it is what it is. Shout out to my bro Chris, aka Jokes from Loading Snacks, for calling it Big Gold 3.0. That is what it is. But it's like, okay, we here now. We seeing it. Consolation belt for Cody, maybe. I'm calling it a consolation.
Listen, we're definitely
if it is.
We're definitely gonna get into that. We're
gonna get into that, but sticking to my feelings on the belt. I mean, it's like, okay, I like it a little bit better than those other two belts. You know what I mean? Because just like Brandon said, he knows I'm a traditionalist when it comes to old school belts. I like to see that. So it's all right. I like it. You know, it's still the winged eagle is still the king of all the WWE belts to me. So
you hear that, brother Brandon?
You know what I mean?
So Doc, let me ask you this.
I was going no something, so I'm
okay. Brandon tried to know something, but Doc, let me ask you this real quick.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the idea of him bringing back the WWE World Heavyweight Championship instead of either creating a fresh title or something new? And then we're going to jump right into what Brandon and Brian have to say. Are you okay with the idea that he said, okay, we're going to bring back some lineage? And of course, he brought it back with an updated look. And that's always going to be debated about whether you like it or don't like it. I'm
sorry, D. How fresh is it? What kind of lineage is it? You know what I mean? Because I know we're trying to stick to your topics, but it's like everything is tied in. Sure. I mean, you're looking at, we're talking about the 60th anniversary of WWE, something that I don't understand why they're not beefing this anniversary like they should. But when you're thinking about 1963 up until 2002, when it was undisputed at first, but now it became disputed when they bring back the big gold, then they unify, then they bring in another title, and that's now unified. So I'm like, I'm at a point where I'm just so conditioned in the fact that, hey, eventually I'll give it 10 years for this title to be unified. You know what I mean? So I'm like,
that's very possible.
Great opportunity right now for others, of course. But it's like, okay, let's just ride this out now and see how this looks. One belt is going to be defended at Mania 1, Mania Night 1. The other belt's going to be defended at Mania Night 2. I'll get into that too. But I mean, here we are, fellas. Here we are.
What say you, Brian H? I know we've been back and forth about this, and we've had these conversations, and I'm sure you've been having these conversations pretty much all day. What do you think about Triple H kind of bringing back the WWE war, like ultimately splitting it from the WWE Championship, kind of ideally, and saying, okay, we're going to revive this again. How fitting that he received it from Eric Bischoff and now he's bringing it back. What do you think about the whole situation?
I actually like it. I like the ideas. One issue I have, right? And
Okay.
that was the verbiage used when introducing it. When he said Roman ran through everybody, we know that. It's kind of like, that Stephen A. Smith, we know you ain't had to say it. So right there, I was just like, okay. So I'm hoping whoever beats him isn't somebody that whoever wins it isn't somebody that Roman beat in this path. But as far as the reason for the championship, I like it, right? It took, when I look at it is everybody's saying, oh, it's a consolation prize. I'm not looking at it like that. I'm going back. Doc mentioned 2002. I'm going back there when Brock Lesnar got signed exclusively to SmackDown. And then there was the need to create or bring back the big goal. That's the way I look at it. We're going to put Roman on this show exclusively. And now what we're going to do is we're going to have a championship for this show. I know that, and shout out to Joe Blacksley, said thank you, the verbiage was off. That was my issue. I know eventually we will, there's talks about brand specific premium live events. When they did that before, we was talking about it in our chats about how we was getting stories. We got to see Shelton Benjamins on premium live events. That's when we got Jinder Mahal's run. So I'm fine with that. But overall, I like the fact that the title is I like the actual look of the title is growing on me, but I like the fact that they've introduced a new world championship.
Brother Brandon, this is your time to shine, brother. Talk to the people. What did you think about Triple H unveiling the new WWE World Heavyweight Championship?
Well, let me address one thing, because in the chats, Dylan said I already ordered it. I didn't order it yet, Dylan. It's a little I didn't order it yet. Keyword yet.
Corey did.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
And shout out to Joe Blacks. Joe is a friend of mine, comic book nerd like us, Dwayne. He jumped on, so thanks for jumping on, Joe. I'm about to get to that answer. I know you said you wanted to hear it on here. But let me just correct one thing, Dr. D. It does have an eagle on it. At
the top.
So you got to look at various pictures. So at first, and I say it again, I love it because it's a tribute. And when I say it has, if we go back to the Undisputed Belt, the Spinner, and the WWE Championship, everybody's saying it's all these. He literally took all the good things he took a lot of good things and put them on there. So the eagle at the top is just at the very top to look down, just like on the Spinner and the Undisputed Belt. The sides of it are the lions from the McMahon crest without the shield.
Right.
The stones on the side are from the WWE, the current championship, because he put the stones on the side.
Yeah.
So the side plates, very good. And then he added his own spin for that globe behind it. Because I don't know if anybody knows it. And I said it on the show, and I was waiting to show it. He put the globe that he used when he did the titles that he was part of. So if you notice, it's the same one on the NXT Cruiserweight. A lot of the NXT belts where you could tell it had a Triple H metal look behind it. But I like the fact that it's a combination, and I feel like it's a tribute to the past. And also, if you look at it in a certain light, it kind of gives you a New Japan feel too, because how the lions are on the side and the floor pattern around it. I'm interested to see it up front and personal, but I love the fact that we got it.
Yeah.
I think that the problem with us wrestling fans, we want it our way. But I remember everybody hated the Undisputed Belt, and now everybody loves it. People say, oh, it should have color, it should have this, it should have that. I think it's fine, because I've seen mock-ups of where people change the banner of World Champion in black. They put red stones on it. Leave the belt alone and just let it go, because everybody they hated the U.S. belt when it came out. Then, oh my God, this is the best belt. Look at this. Oh, it should have more blue on it.
Right.
Leave it alone. It's, to me, the design is a perfect tribute for the best that they could do, but also to Triple H's point. And I mean, and when Brian said it, his verbiage was off, but I think I looked at it again and I said he's Triple H books in realism. He basically said, look, I got to reset some things. I got to fix this because I was handed this situation, and this is the way I'm looking at the situation. So, to his point, I don't feel bad because was Roman a happy accident for the business? Because when whoever made the decision to give him the WWE Championship, I don't blame Triple H for keeping that intact and say this is the way out of it now. Because let's be honest, is the roster big enough, and do we have enough stars that can carry another brand? And I'm not going to say Raw, SmackDown, because Roman can carry either one, but do we have enough stars that can carry it? And this is the perfect time to do it because Triple H strategically built back up his roster. He's giving you instances of superstars that you don't know what division they're in. Like Bobby Lashley goes from world champion to U.S. champion, back to world champion, U.S. champion, almost fluidly. And it's a good thing because just like in the old days of WCW where you could be world champion or United States champion. So now when we have this world title, he has enough. And I think the roster is strong enough to warrant this. I just want to stick to my convictions. They could have got themselves out of it, but they didn't. So now this is the best way to get out of it. And that belt is a beautiful tribute.
So with that being said, Doc, you alluded to something earlier, brother, when you said that we are celebrating 60 years of the WWE Championship. Okay.
Yes.
So as we reintroduce a new world title to separate the brands, as Brother Brandon clearly broke down for us, I can't help but think that it's time to get a little controversial, right? 60 years is a big deal. 60 years is the longest reigning wrestling company's championship that's still it's the top prize in this business. Now reintroducing a new world title or bringing back the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, does it devalue the undisputed WWE Universal Championship in any way? Talk to the people. Wait, hold on. Let me hear my suspense music first. There we go.
That's funny. Does it devalue?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me just say this. When you've been a fan like I have for so long, and for me to always get the knowledge about certain things in the industry from those that experienced it, and for those that may not understand what I'm talking about, feel free to look through my archives on YouTube, especially when it came to talking to Bruno Sammartino and Ivan Koloff, the first two of the three to have held this lineage from 60 years ago. But does it devalue? Well, I speak on this, okay? So to tie into what Brandon was saying, you have one title that says WWE World Heavyweight title. Then you have the original that Roman is still wearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, it still says World Heavyweight Championship.
Mm-hmm.
So as far devalue may be one thing, but confusion could probably play more into this. Because, okay, you got one WWE World Champion, okay, then you got the other WWE World Champion. So again, I wouldn't say devalue the original championship, because if you look back at when the big goal back in 2002, how you looked at, depending on what brands they were in, and you felt that which title was more important or seemed to have been the one that they pushed the most. And perfect example from being at SummerSlam in DC when we saw John Cena being the guy over Batista in his hometown, and Batista had the big goal, right? So it's a question of what's going to be pushed the hardest now that this is going to be the direction that they go in. So I just got to look back and see what's going to be the most important. And it, based on how Triple H was talking, it's like, okay, he's already devaluing Roman anyway. So
yeah, one thing I noticed with Triple H when we talk about the verbiage, it was kind of like what Brian H said, he has a certain realism about it. He's like, well, listen, he's smart for what he did because I would have done it too, but now he's left me with no choice but to, you know what I mean, and you know, the term that has been going around is the word consolation prize, right? And I was like, but I think it goes back to what you just said, Doc, is well, it depends on who's holding it, because I remember when the World Heavyweight Championship was debuted on Raw, I was so confused because I was like, why they call it the World Heavyweight Championship? It's because I wasn't a SmackDown guy. I wasn't. That whole brand split confused me a lot, you know, when I started seeing separate tag titles and separate words. I was like, wait a minute. So now that's considered, we knew it as the undisputed title. It became just strictly the WWE Championship. And that became the World Heavyweight Championship. And I was like, wait, what? But Triple H was the main guy in WWE to me at that moment. And he got a bigger push. And it seemed like that title seemed more important at one point, you know, than the WWE Championship. And WWE Championship seemed like the title they was kind of using to help other guys get over. But Brian H, what do you think? Do you think this is that this devalues the WWE Championship, especially in the year 60 that we celebrate its inception?
No, I'm not seeing it like that. You know what I mean? I'm really just seeing what they about to give us a brand. What reportedly they about to give us a brand split, and I'm seeing, you know, we TV guys. So what I'm saying is like them saying, look, I want this guy on my television. I want this guy on my television. So no, I don't see it as devaluing at all.
Okay. Now is that because of who may potentially carry the title? Like, for instance, you know, there's a point in time when there was those titles were like almost neck and neck, right? When Triple H had the World Heavyweight Championship, it was like, okay, we knew it was a big deal because Triple H was the main focus of Raw. And then I don't know if it was Brock Lesnar or whoever, or JBL, whoever had it on SmackDown. They were the main focus of SmackDown. But after a while, you began to see a divide where the John Cena's and then the CM Punks, and then it almost looked as if the world title was a consolation prize. It was like a tool to help get guys over, to help put these guys in these main event conversations that it can be considered world champions, so they can use these names to promote pay-per-views and put them in situations where you have these brand splits and you have a champion on each brand. But I don't know, like can both these titles thrive again? I mean, it's not like we haven't seen it before with the Universal Championship and the WWE Championship, right? But the World Heavyweight Championship has a slight lineage to it, not a full lineage, but a slight lineage, as Doc said. And so do you see it as a consolation prize?
Nope. Like I said, I looking at it, I just can't, and I've been trying to see that way, but I just can't. You know what I mean? Maybe because, you know, like I said, just going back to thinking, I mean, just a few years ago, right? What we have called, at one point, people said the Raw title, whatever title was on Raw, that was the #1 title, right? But you couldn't tell us when Kofi Kingston became WWE champion that wasn't the best thing in the world to us. You know what I mean? Now, had he won the Universal title, would we have felt the same way? Sure, because he was the guy on top. When Kevin Owens became Universal champion, I can't remember who was WWE champion at the time, but it was a big deal because this was our guy. We seen, you know, them days we used to be with Doc and Corey at Ring of Honor, and we saw him feuding with Jim Cornette. Now he's at the top of the main guy on Monday Night Raw, you know. So now I don't look at it as a consolation prize at all.
Brother Brandon, once again, it's your time to shine, sir. Does this devalue the WWE Championship in any type of way? Some people feel this way, but like the brothers don't seem to think so. But what say you, sir?
So I think the only problem we're going to have with this is who holds it, because it's going to run into that thing. Just like, and I'm going to take a different stance, because when the Universal title was introduced, it was okay. You got an NXT guy and an NXT WWE guy one-on-one. And the NXT guy won it. Yes, he was injured, and then guess what? Another NXT guy won it. and then it was, oh, I need somebody bigger here. Now we want this, gotta have it. So it started off, I felt like the Universal title started as a consolation prize, but then they made it into something. They tried to make it something bigger when Brock, when Goldberg, and then even so, it kind of lost its luster a little bit, but then I'll give Roman credit. He brought it back to, this is the important belt. The World Heavyweight Champion, as in the big gold, felt the same way at times. Triple H had it. It felt like it was the most important thing. John Cena, Undertaker, Edge, Batista. But then it kind of got a little down the card when...
What about Randy Orton and Christian? Don't play me.
No, I'm because remember, if you say Randy Orton and Christian, you got to say Alberto and Edge. So that's why I'm saying it kind of teetered into where it was considered, because let's think about this. Rey Mysterio got the World Heavyweight Champion as a consolation prize to make him a world champion in the history books. Just like if Kofi would have won Universal Championship, that wouldn't have satisfied me because he deserved the WWE Championship.
Yeah.
Just like Mark Henry should have won the WWE Championship, just like Booker T should have won the WWE Championship. But we got Black World Champions from the Big Gold because that was a top prize at the time. So this title, if the first champion is a person, and I'm not discrediting any wrestlers, but let's say a Montez Ford wins it first, it's going to skyrocket him to the moon, but it's going to feel like, all right, what
consolation prize.
Yes. But if a Seth Rollins gets it, you're going to be like, oh. Yeah. But if a Cody gets it, it's going to feel like, well,
no, nobody wants Cody to win it.
Yeah. You want but here we go. I feel like a consolation prize is only it's in who's holding it, because we can sit here and talk about when the World Heavyweight Champion, the Big Gold, was around, because we all know it. When Jack Swagger won it, it was like, okay. Yeah. When Dolph Ziggler won it, we wanted more from Dolph, but we didn't get more from Dolph. And regardless of the medical issues or anything like that, it was just like, okay, Edge, you got it back. All right, Undertaker. Okay, but we wanted to see more, and we kept getting, and Randy Orton, and they all have world title reigns. I'm a 16-time champion, but is it WWE and world champion? But we don't count that into the equation when we talk about champions, because let's be honest, if Mark Henry would have been WWE champion, would we be celebrating him even more now?
That's actually a good point. So let me ask the OG, Doc. We back to you, sir. There's something specific that Brandon mentioned when he talks about the big goal, right?
Yeah.
When they first kind of introduced it, the difference to me between the Big Gold and Universal Championship, the Universal Championship is a new concept. It's a concept that we haven't seen since Puerto Rico, since the Colones, because I believe Carlos Colon was the one that originally introduced a universal title, right? And so that was like a relatively fresh history, but the Big Gold kind of always had WCW's and NWA's championship lineage attached to it, right? So it almost seemed that was if it was no shame in it, and it didn't seem like a consolation, because of if I am going to be given this title, at least my name is attached to this history. Did you see it that way? I mean, we're talking to someone that came up in the 80s, that witnessed wrestling in its heyday, and witnessed the NWA and even the birth of WCW. Did you feel the same way about the Big Gold when it kind of reintroduced and everybody's name was attached to it? Because if you remember in 2006, they came out with the history of the World Heavyweight Championship, right? And it was in all the lineage was completely attached to the NWA, the early years. I'm talking like they all the way back to George Hackenschmidt, Ed the Strangler Lewis, like that. They considered like that belt history, that title history, all in the same group. Did you see it the same way? And do you see that as a continuation for today?
Give me just a second here.
Sure, take your time. But brother Brandon, I think what you said made a lot of sense at the end of the day. It always comes down to who's holding the title, right? I think that makes the biggest difference.
Can you hear me now, D?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So I'm glad you brought this up, because I wanted to talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been here because I'm glad we're talking about the NWA. So this is how I look at the National Wrestling Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
So This is the 75th anniversary, by the way. The National Wrestling Alliance is 75 years old.
Mm-hmm.
The lineage that WWE recognizes only goes up to when they purchased WCW. It only goes up to when they purchased WCW. You never heard WWE mention R-Truth as the first Black NWA World Champion.
You're absolutely right.
You never heard them recognize Cody as a former NWA World Champion, being one of the only two father and son NWA World Champions. You never heard Christian recognized as a former NWA World Champion. So, being that the NWA is my sentimental favorite promotion still, good, bad, or indifferent, and the Crockett era will always be my favorite era, which is why I was so thankful at StarCast to talk to the late great Jim Crockett and David Crockett, again, picking the brains of these legends that really were the genesis of my childhood. I would think that the promotions need to stop not acknowledging the entire history of the National Wrestling Alliance, because the National Wrestling Alliance gave birth to WWE. The National Wrestling Alliance gave birth to AWA. The National Wrestling Alliance gave birth to TNA, to ECW, to UWF Mid-South. The National Wrestling Alliance gave birth to everything just about that you see today. And kudos to Billy Corgan, whether you like him or not, kudos to him for at least making sure that
Trying to keep it alive,
yes, that this lineage is still recognized, even though it's not at the point where it was in the Crockett days, but WWE stopped recognizing the NWA once they purchased WCW.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I never looked at it that way.
Yeah.
Because I think I was brainwashed by the DVD. But you have a very, very good point when it comes to that. So, Brother Brendan, let's start with you. I'm stuck on what you said when it said you think it's always going to come down to who should win it first. So who jumpstarts the new World Heavyweight Championship era in WWE? Who is the right guy? Who does it have to be in order to, first of all, reestablish and re-legitimize this title and could potentially rival Roman in regards to their presence in the company? Is because we all know that Roman has a sort of a part-time schedule. So it's not like this champion is not going to be put in the right spaces, because now they have a working world champion, as Triple H said, someone that's going to defend this title everywhere around the world. Who is it going to be, Brother Brian? Brother Brandon, excuse me, the guy.
You asking a loaded question, but I
don't say Chris Jericho. He can't come over. He's under contract to AEW.
He said can't come over.
Wrong. I think you asked the right question, but the wrong way. It should be which show does this title land on first, and then who is?
That's copping a deuce, man. That's not fair.
Because what show does it land on first? Let me ask you that, then I'm gonna answer the question.
We don't know yet. Let's say it stays on Raw. Let's say it debuted on Raw,
That's
right?
what I'm thinking.
And the Raw superstars competed for it. So if I was a betting man, I would say that this is supposed to be for Monday Night Raw. I don't think Fox is giving up the Roman train.
I don't think so. That's the thing. I don't think so either. So if I had to choose, and who could print me the most money with this, I go with Seth.
Why?
And I go with Seth for a couple reasons. One, he's proven, heel, face, or indifferent, he's got the backing of the crowd. He can print some money, and you can put Seth on every show just like you can Roman. He can put on his crazy looking suit. He can sell it in an interview. He can imagine what he would do with that belt just going to a baseball game. Imagine what he's going to do on to the Today Show, on the local news when they're in town. He's going to hit the media junket, and he's going to be that guy. And whoever's in the program with him is going to be right there next to him. So that's what I would do, because Seth seems like the obvious choice, because he's a proven draw. And yes, this might be a chance to make another star, but we got time with the brand split coming. And if they're going to do different pay-per-views as well for the brand, you got plenty of time to showcase and build others up. Because runner-up to that would be Bobby Lashley. And those are for personal reasons, because I believe Bobby, let me say this. I really believe when I hear those stories about he's number one for this, or this person is number one, this is why they push him. After seeing certain shows live and seeing the crowd reaction, now I get what they mean by certain stars, you know, number one on the list, this is that. So if it's not Seth, it's got to be Bobby, and it's got to be Bobby in the right position.
You muted.
Brian H, talk to your people.
So wait a minute, I got one other question for you too, and this is what Dr. D said, because he got me on something. They got lineage there, but they don't even recognize that all their world champions as world champions. Because let's be honest, if you add it in, Kevin Owens should be a two-time Grand Slam champion right now, because he held the Universal title and NXT World title. But
And see, go ahead.
But we don't count that in because Seth could be a three-time Grand Slam champion if you think about it. But I just because when he said it about the lineage, I'm like, they don't even recognize it within their own company either.
There's a lot of championships going around.
It is.
Brian H.
You know, I'm looking at it like this, right? Well, Brandon already chose two people that I said. Seth
I mean,
and
if he chooses people that you said, just explain why. Explain why you like if the reasons are different. You know what I mean? Like, just let people know why you think there should be. You know.
Yeah, and I'm saying in the comments, Gunta, as you like to say,
Gunta.
Yeah, I would not hate that at all, considering, you know. But the reason why I say Seth Rollins is simply because he's been proven that, like Brandon said, he's been proven, but he's also Seth. Every time he comes out, he feels like the most important person on the show. For the last few WrestleManias, right? All his matches, he's at that point in his career where every match he has is important on WrestleMania. You know, whether it was with Cesaro, that was like a dream match for wrestling fans that we was waiting for. His match with Kevin Owens at WrestleMania 36.
With no fans.
Yeah, with no fans. You know what I mean? This year with Logan Paul, last year being the guy to bring back a Cody Rhodes. And I'm thinking about the feud that could happen between those two. So I'm looking at that. So I see Seth, I see like him being the guy. Bobby Lashley, I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. I would love to see Bobby Lashley be champion. One, right all the wrongs. Get us that black champion, right? You got a title you bring it back. You can say he's the first one of the new era, and we get that black champion, and he's going to be a WWE champion and a WWE World Heavyweight champion. He hasn't even touched Roman yet. So you can make him, it's easy to make him like Roman's equal. Because
Bring back the Hurt Business, man.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, you imagine a Hurt Business against, like, you know, Seth Rollins having to chase, Cody Rhodes having to chase Bobby Lashley with a Hurt Business surrounded by him, you know. So I think that'll be great. I see Kofi Weaston from the Dirty Heels is in the building. Oh, shout out to Ty Corn too. I didn't get a chance to shout him out, and the Casual Wrestler. But I'm with all that, man. You know, it's you know, those two. I had a wild card earlier, and now it's gonna escape me. You know, I saw the internet say Omos.
No,
now,
cut it out.
I wouldn't hate it. It would be something totally different.
No, that's like Great. That's like Great Khali holding the World Heavyweight Championship. I said turn the channel from SmackDown.
It's too soon. Kobe says, you know, what about Finn Balor, especially him hurting himself, never being able to be Universal Champion. My issue is, I say it's got to be somebody who Roman hasn't taken out yet. That's just the way I see it, at least for the first one. You know, to keep it looking away from looking like a consolation prize. Like, you know, I think that's what a lot of people can agree on, right? That if you put it on somebody who hasn't been taken out by Roman, whether you feel like it's a consolation prize or not, it's less likely to look like a consolation prize.
Can I? Is it my turn yet?
Yes, sir. See, look, Doc can't wait to get his piece in.
I need to get it in.
Come on. Your turn, Doc.
It goes it goes back to this. To me, it's like everybody that we just about mentioned has had their taste of world title goal. So my thing is to even go back before it was announced. It's like, who would be the one that I would think deserve it more? Because the names that everybody's mentioned, they'll eventually get it in. Stick with me on this, okay? Here is why I felt Cody should have finished the story at Mania. Okay, so this is what a lot of people don't see. Okay, we mentioned all of that, Endeavor this, AEW that. I erase all of that right now. Erase all of that, because nobody would really know. And the thing is, if people ever really paid attention to the legacy of the Rhodes family, they know business and they know how to turn chicken salad out of, you know what?
Yes,
they have that. They have that. Cody ain't sweating the fact that he coming in there already knowing that he was going to lose. Cody ain't sweating it.
Right.
Here's why it would have been a nice thing to have finished the story. Okay, so we look forward to Mania every year, and once upon a time, the WWE that we used to know, the WWF, always had the credo of sending people home happy, putting smiles on people's faces. You have hundreds of thousands of fans that attend from all over the world, and they may have this hope in them that lives vicariously through somebody like Cody. And then they come in and this happens, knowing as far as us is concerned, knowing that if it was Cody, it was Rock, we were prepared for Roman to win anyway. We understood that. But for someone to probably say, I flew all the way for this, and then wait another year for Cody to possibly be, let's say the champ beating Roman or being this new world champ. Either way, my thing is, well, here's the thing. Tomorrow's not promised, guys.
Exactly.
Tomorrow's not promised. We may not live to see Cody or anybody get this title, no matter how long it'll take. You know what I mean? I think about a kid from my church that just unexpectedly passed at the age of 18. And I know there was a point in time where we always talked wrestling. Him and his brothers and his mom and his dad, they always told me that they always liked wrestling. And it's been a minute anyway because of this pandemic and how we always kept in touch. And now he's gone. He ain't going to live to see this new world champion. This is what people don't look at. This is what people aren't talking about. So think about this. And this is something that I thought about as well. If you notice, every 10th Mania had a great way to finish the story. WrestleMania 10, Brett versus Yoko. WrestleMania 20, Benoit versus HBK versus Triple H. Brian, WrestleMania 30. Probably the greatest way to have finished a story.
Absolutely.
Brian, RKO, Batista. Great way to finish a story. It would have been nice. But now we here for 40, and it's like this. Let's say Cody did finish the story. Seth could have gotten his win back after that great 3-match feud. I saw Seth being next to beat Cody for the Undisputed Universal title at Mania 40. Seth is going to be champion again. I ain't, whether it's the Undisputed, whether it's the world, Seth is going to be the guy. He's the guy. He's the guy without the title right now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. That's facts.
So the thing is, when it comes to who I still may have hope to see become this champion, consolation or not, because somebody got to beat Roman. I mean, somebody got to beat him, because people are afraid to say this right now. I ain't afraid to say it. The bloodline story is getting stale. The bloodline story.
What? You think so, Doc?
I said, come on now. Sami Zayn going to turn on Kevin. That's the best they could do right now.
He should.
I think it is
for him to get back. That's the best they could do. But but to each his own.
It's definitely going down. Like when you look at the height of like where it's going up, I think we peaked. I like so in that regard, I agree with you, Doc. And I think we're definitely like slowly trying to wind this down because it's like you got to move on to the next chapter of this because it's the same characters, but it's like
this Cody finishing the story could have been the end game in the WWE cinematic universe, and then we move on to the next phase.
That's what I was expecting. Like I was my let me tell you what I was hoping would happen, Doc. This is my book.
Yeah.
I was hoping that somehow Bloodline tries to get involved, they mess up, and it costs Roman Reigns. That way Roman doesn't have to like, you know what I mean, like lose as if Cody completely beat him. But he tried to cheat, family got in the way, messed it up, and he blames the family. And now the chase is on to get back to the top, but he has to deal with all those elements, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's what I assumed was going to happen.
Which brings me to this.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have mind putting Cody versus Seth for night 1 because you know what I put for night 2, which didn't need the title, which doesn't need the title. You figure that as many times as Roman been punking Jay can't get his win back. Jay can't get his revenge back. Roman and Jay would have been night 2 for Mania 40. Roman and Jay.
I mean, it would definitely be full circle. But
yes.
with that being said, Doc, you never gave us anybody. Like who's
I said Cody.
Oh, really? So you do say Cody?
Yeah, I do say Cody.
Okay, all right. I mean, there's definitely connection there.
Yeah.
Because technically that lineage is still connected to his father, even though you know what I mean. Like know the NWA connection to it. But with that being said, I want everybody. We'll go back to you, brother Brandon. I want you guys to name at least 5 guys that you want to see win the World Heavyweight Championship. Like 5 guys. It doesn't matter time period and none of that stuff. We just put 5 guys you want to see who you feel like they need to hold this title in order to get this title back to where it needs to be, where people say, oh no, this is the prize. It's because I think the idea is you want to blur the lines. You want people to look at that prize and say, oh no, I don't want that one, I want the other. You want to say, no, I want that title. And of course it's going to come down to who's carrying it, right? So you can't have Chad Gable win it at first because now it's like, you know what I mean? Or like you don't want to be in a situation where Ring of Honor was, where you had Jay Briscoe as champion, God rest his beautiful soul, and then you have Jay Lethal as the television champion, and Jay Lethal's like, oh no, I'm the real world champion, I'm the world's television champion, this is the main title. But that was just the caliber of talent that you had on that show during that time period, you know what I mean? So it's like you don't want to have Austin Theory as your world heavyweight champion right now, maybe not, and then have Gunther on your show. Like if they were on the same show per the draft, right? Yeah, you know what I mean. So 5 guys that you say, you know what? Okay, this is a reset button. 5 guys I want to see win this world title.
Not including the 2 I already gave you.
You can if you want to. That's fair. Like if you feel like those are 2 of your guys that you like stuck on, like no, these guys need it for whatever reason, or you feel like they have to have it, then that's fine too. 5 people you feel need to hold this title.
One of those 2 should be the first, but I'm gonna say 5 guys outside of those 2.
Okay, go ahead.
So because I feel like they're my number 1 picks to have it, but I definitely think Montez Ford.
You stuck on this Montez Ford. I'm gonna let you finish because
I'm with him on it.
No. Hold on.
But let's be real. The way you asked the question is kind of different because first you said first champion, and then first let me say I interpreted total, like as long as this is a title, who need to eventually touch it, right?
That's what I was thinking.
But now
it's all your opinion. But you got to remember, this is the guy that you're putting your money on, right? So if you're booking the show, you guys are Jim Buss and this is the Lakers, right? And you're saying, I'm trusting you. I'm trusting you to put this guy on the strap. He's got to be the guy to carry the champ. He's got to carry. I'm not just putting on him to get him over. Like this is. I'm treating him the same way I treat Roman. I need you to carry the company. I need you to main event across the world. I need you to sell tickets. I need you to sell T-shirts. Like, not just, I'm trying to get this guy over because I think he has talent. Like, I mean, but now if you want to say Montez Ford and you believe he's the guy, then by all means, I respect that.
But you know, this is total. Like, this is in the early part of the title, or eventually in their careers.
Nah, like as of next week. They're saying, Brian H., we got to put together 5 names going into the immediate future. So for the next year and a half, 2 years, we're going to book around these 5 guys that need to have this title first, so that we establish it as like, for instance, the Universal Championship, right?
Okay.
Like they put it on the Brocks, they put it on the Goldbergs, they put it on those guys. You know what I mean? And they put it on Roman. Like, I didn't take that title as seriously until Roman had it for 1,000 days, and I was like, you know what? At one point, that title was more important than the WWE Championship because Roman had it. He made that belt that much more legit. Like, that's the first time I respected the Universal Championship.
Really?
I mean, yeah. I just like
he's right, because it was on Fox. That was the flagship show. It had better wrestling, had a better presentation. And Roman was on the road. He was the figurehead.
He was the top guy. Like, he was the top guy regardless. So it's
I'm just saying. So you ain't respect the Brock and Goldberg.
No. That's what I said. Like, Brock Goldberg. But like, think about it. Those guys. One is a part-timer, and one is a legacy guy. Like, Goldberg's a legacy guy. Like, so like for instance, putting the AEW Championship on Chris Jericho. Of course, it's the right move, because it's like that makes like you didn't put it on MJF first. In TNA, they didn't put the NWA Teenage Championship on AJ and those guys first. Like they had small reigns, but they eventually all doors led back to Jeff Jarrett. Because he was the top guy in the company at the time. Like, he was the established name brand until they got guys like Christian and the Kurt Angles and the Stings that kind of came in and was able to, they used those guys to help to get the young guys over, like the AJs, and then eventually the Samoa Joes, and then eventually the Bobby Roode. That's what I'm saying. So that's what I mean by that. Like, as far as that Universal title, it's like, man, it was like, to me, that seemed like a consolation prize, depending on who had. Like, when Finn had it at first, I didn't like it. I was like, not Finn, but then he got hurt and they put it on Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens did a great job. But then, like I said, you put it on Goldberg. It's like, well, Kevin Owens' career just doesn't compare to Goldberg at that moment. Like, what was he supposed to do? Because they were restoring the legacy of Goldberg, and that title only added to their legacy, right? So you put it on Brock, you put it on, but like Roman had it, like and then guys like Bray Wyatt had it, but he wasn't really the guy. He was this mystery. He was still doing Bray Wyatt things. But then Roman became so dominant that he was the top guy, regardless whether he had the strap or not. And whatever belt he had was going to be the most important belt. And it was the Universal Championship before they even merged the two. Like, you know what I mean? So like that's the part of the reign that I took the most seriously. So Dwayne, now, yes, sir.
I'm sorry. So Dwayne, so we're not including those that will probably be, let's say, transitional or anything like that. Or...
You listen, Doc. You can do that. Like, it's this. Just remember, this person has to carry the company, even if it's transitional. But it's like right now, they saying, Doc, listen, man, it's your pen and your paper, man. I need who I'm taking opinions, and I need who you think the first 5 people are going to be, because for the next 2.5, 3 years, we're going to build around these first, no particular order. But at some point, we've made in our minds, we're going to go with him, then we're going to go with him, then we're going to go with him, then we're going to go with him and him.
Okay. So shout out to Dylan Matthews, because I had to laugh, because when you said 5 and I saw his name, I thought it was going to say Dylan.
I noticed when you did that. I was like, in my mind, I'm like, I know what he's doing. Who's the best 5 rappers of all time? Think about it. So Brother Brandon, back to you, sir. As we wrap this up, man, this is getting good. This is real thought provoking. 5 guys. You still going Montez Ford?
That's my brother. I support him.
Yep. Shinsuke Nakamura.
Okay.
Finn Balor.
Okay, you're going backwards, buddy. Go ahead. This is not difficult for you, Brother Brandon. Cut it out.
I don't want to put Cody, because I want Cody in the conversation with Roman. I don't want Cody.
Me too. I'm with you.
Conversation with Roman. That's why, because I want Drew still in the conversation with Roman, because I feel like it's still something to be told over there. I don't want.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't want to be saying in this right now, because there's other things they can do.
Okay.
I don't want Randy either, because I feel like Randy needs to be a special attraction. He doesn't need to.
Randy's world heavyweight championship lineage is like, it's going to shatter everybody else's.
Yeah, that's why I said
he's one of the greatest WWE World Heavyweight Champions that we've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
Like, go ahead.
That's so tough.
Montez, Shinsuke, Finn Balor.
Because I'm thinking like Triple H because he's gonna put eyes on it.
No, I don't want you to think. I want you to think like Brother Brandon, the guy. I don't care about no goddamn Triple H. You're the guy. He said, like Triple H trusted you.
Brian
He said
it's resonating. Brian kept saying like I don't want it to be somebody that already lost to Roman because it's kind of devalued. So that's what I kind of.
But see, it doesn't have to be though. It could be a reset, like Austin Theory losing the Money in the Bank. He lost the title, but then they reset him. Like, you can always find a creative way to write around it. Like everybody said, oh, they buried Austin Theory because he lost the title, but then he came back. He stopped doing the selfie gimmicks, and it made sense. He's like, yo, that thing held me back, and look at me now. And then at the end of the day, he still he got the United States Championship back, and nobody remembers that.
All right, so you over the next year, right? The next year.
Listen, next year or two, all you know is you got 5 guys.
Delgado, Phantasmo.
Wow, you on your Paul Heyman tonight. You going all young talent. I respect it.
And Dragon Lee. I'm done.
Okay, all right, okay.
Whoa!
So wow, you just like building new stars for the future. So you said Montez Ford, Shinsuke Nakamura, Finn Balor, Santos Escobar, right? Santos Escobar and Dragon Lee.
I'm sorry, yeah.
No, that's the way. I mean, we all know who. Legado de Fantasma. Wow, that's 5. Doc, I'm gonna say Doc the best for last. Brother, look, Brian is writing his picks down.
Nah,
Brian,
I was texting us. We need that on Twitter because I'm interested to see. I love these picks, right? But you're giving me the ball. You telling me I'm controlling.
So
let's break this down.
You got the book. Break it down, Brian H.
So I am going with Montez Ford, and here's why. Because Montez Ford is about to be on television every week. He's going to be in a reality show. And I'm taking him and his wife, and they are taking me to the moon. Yes, Montez Ford got the charisma. Montez Ford got the skill set. And I believe that he can make my company a lot of money, right? So that's one of the guys, right?
Montez Ford, got it.
Montez Ford. Then I'm taking your boy Gunther. Why? Because I need, there's a European lineage that they don't really tap into, and he's going to be the guy to go over there. Like this guy, let me tell you something,
bro.
At WrestleMania, everybody when we did the interviews, they was all calm, cool, collected. They was having fun. This dude was like, I don't want to say stiff, but he was focused, and you could tell he was happy. He's like, look, my wife over here, my parents over here, whatever. But he was focused. And you could see the way he worked that match. I know he's a walking 5-star match, and he passes the airport test, right?
Yeah, big time.
So I'm putting him in there. He's got to be my champion. I said Bobby Lashley. I said Seth Rollins for obvious reasons, right?
That's 4, right?
Yeah, that's 4. So I like that Shinsuke Nakamura pick. It might be. I'm gonna catch him right before it's too late. Because guess what? WWE has yet, and Doc, Dwayne, Brandon, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've been paying attention. And I know one thing. Black wrestling Twitter gets on and we complain that we don't get a black champion. I haven't been tapped into Japanese wrestling Twitter as far as American Japanese wrestling Twitter. They haven't had that representation, right? We've seen... That's my guy. We've seen people from Europe win the championship, but we haven't seen nobody from Japan. Shinsuke he's the perfect guy to do it. So
the women cover the men.
His first. Oh yeah, definitely got the women with Oscar. Well, listen to me, Brian H. You might be on to something good, brother, because he did an exclusive YouTube interview after his debut, and he said he's like, I work to be world champion. I was like, oh boy. So I don't know, man. You might be onto something.
And
so go ahead.
One more. And I'm going down to NXT.
No.
I'm going to
Carmelo. No, don't say Carmelo Hayes.
I knew you thought I would say that. No, you know what?
Not ready. He's not ready. He's not ready.
I want to go. I want to go Braun.
He's not ready.
But if I'm gonna go Braun, I might as well just go Omos. Omos is gonna be the last in that rotation. But let's face it, he is Omos passes the airport test, and he's got a good group of guys that he's going to work with. He's going to be the last in that rotation to be my world champion, but he'll be winning it within 2 years.
Here's how you know if he's worth any money: is the Prince of Saudi Arabia going to pay for him to be over there?
He's been didn't he wrestled Braun?
He wrestled Braun, but it wasn't for the title,
right? But they'll pay.
Okay,
he's a special. He's an attraction. They'll pay.
Mm-hmm.
And look at he's being prepped. Look at who he's been wrestling.
He's definitely in grad school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's definitely in grad school. They definitely like that's why people are confused. Like, how do you get the mess with Seth Rollins? I'm like, no, because they got plans for big fella.
I mean, he wrestled Brock Lesnar. He's taking, and you know, I know like Rosenberg and Dip say, he can't take a loss. He don't need to lose. Seth can take this loss. Omos can take this loss, and he'll still be fine
because he's a young boy. Everybody knows he's new.
Exactly, and you know, Seth Rollins. Come on now. Being in the ring, and he's not jobbing to these people, and then the fact that Seth Rollins is looking up to him like, I see, like little stuff like that is making him into a big deal. He's going to be in my world championship list.
There's a difference between doing a job and then doing the honors. There's a separation too. Like all losing isn't the same in professional wrestling. There's such thing as doing the honors, and like Ricky Steamboat losing to Macho Man losing to Ricky Steamboat at WrestleMania 3 was doing the honors. You're not gonna say, oh, he got jobbed out. No, he did the honors. You know what I mean? It's not like a you know what I mean? There's a difference, and I hate when people lose. People assume like, oh, well, they buried. Like, no, it's not. There's a difference between jobbing somebody out or he can't afford a loss, bro. Like, look at Karrion Kross now. Like, if you look at Karrion Kross, they're clearly defining his character now after all this time. Because even in him losing, he's like, oh, I took. He did a promo on SmackDown. He was like, you know, I have these cards, like these tarot cards. And he's like, these are my victims. He said, I took Drew McIntyre's temperament. I took Rey Mysterio's patience. I took and he named some other people, and I was like, oh wow, he lost all these people, but he was saying that even after fighting with me, you lose something about yourself. And then he tells Shinsuke I'm going to take your honor next. I'm like, oh, okay, so he's going to try to get Shinsuke out of character. And it's like, man, even in a loss, I'm taking something away from you. And it's like, so this guy's like Joker. He doesn't care about winning or losing. He just wants to cause destruction wherever he goes. You know what I mean? So you know, I just want to point that out. But Doc, are you ready
on your list?
Who?
Karrion Kross?
No, he's not ready yet. He's not. He's not.
He gonna be ready in the rotation.
No, he's not compared to the guys in my mind, because first of all, like your list, Brian H was ridiculous. Like, because I'm like, man, like, and once again, it's typical Realm fashion. And like I said, I'm gonna speak the same about Doc, as you can tell how we think about the business, like everybody's personality based off of, like, I consider Brandon like a Paul Heyman, because he's always, since I've known him, he's always trying to push new talent. And that I remember one of the things that Paul Heyman said about TNA. He was like, if I go over here, I want everybody over 40 fired except Kurt Angle. He was like, he was like, and I'm bringing in all new talent, because it's understanding that your new talent is the lifeblood of the industry. And I think that's the direction that Triple H is kind of going in, and it kind of goes away from what we've been used to, Doc. You know, when you say, you know, every 10th year we've been accustomed to this, because McMahon is still a showman. Like I said, he's still got that Carney in his blood. He's like, listen, let's just send them home happy, and we'll fix it later on Monday, or we'll fix it later in creative. It's going to be 30 rewrites anyway. But he was going to give us that. If we noticed he had a moment, he was going to take those moments. Versus Triple H is like, no, let's keep the story going. And we're not used to it, and I think it's making a lot of fans uncomfortable. But you know, that's a different show for a different day. 5 guys that need it. I'm going to say mine real quick, because I'm going to say the best for last year, brother Doc. Oh man, definitely Shinsuke Nakamura. It's a chance for him to be a world champion. We know there's an expansion in Japan going on. You know what I mean? That's the driving force. I definitely say Bobby Lashley. Anytime you have Bobby Lashley in the main event scene, I feel like we're almost guaranteed another Hurt Business reunion, and that's what I'm just like begging for. Gotta be Seth Rollins. I mean, do I need to say more? Definitely somebody that I feel like is deserving of it, and I think he should be the one to get it first. I'm gonna go with AJ Styles, just because I like AJ Styles. Like, I don't have any other reason. I just feel like AJ's hurt. He's hurt.
I thought about, but people don't have a Roman. Did he face
Roman? I mean, Roman ain't good to him yet.
No, yeah, he's. They've seen each other in passing. So like I think he'll be ready around December. So you know what I mean?
Whoa, December?
Yeah, because he's got that real bad ankle injury, real bad ankle. He broke his ankle, so like that's tough. And
Coming back.
I'm going to go with one young talent, and this is the one I wrestle with, but I'm going to go with Gunta because of what Brian, you just had an excellent point when it comes to that. I was like, you know what, that makes a lot of sense. And that's like my taste of how you guys book things when it comes to like Brandon did like three young guys that that have huge upsides first and foremost. Not really young guys, but three guys that have huge upsides. Future. All three have the potential to be future world champions, but I only chose one, and I feel like if there's one guy that's on deck, ironically nobody said Austin Theory, but he's easily one too. He could be one, but I want to go with Gunta. So that's my 5. I think it's an obvious 5. It's not a special 5. But that's just me. So Doc, sir, it's your turn. 5 guys.
Can I say one thing real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
And I think if we don't do a Dragon League or we're going to miss out on the opportunity to showcase that international audience, like Brian was saying about Shinsuke, because Triple H got to make this title appealing so that way he can recruit other people. And I'm going to just leave it at that.
No, what you're saying is true, because he kept saying this guy is going to be the one to fight all over the world. I'm like, oh, okay, so this is going to be the traveling champion while Roman stays home. Roman's going to take care of domestic, and this guy's going to be global. So that makes me say in my mind, whoever this guy is going to be is going to get a massive push. It's because this person has to fill in the gaps when Roman is not available. Like Roman's good for TV, he's good for sponsors, he's good for events, which is what he does well. But this person has to handle the wrestling. This person has to handle the fans and the autograph signing. This has to be someone that people pay to see globally. You know what I mean? So it's like, so whoever gets it, they're not going to be slouches. It's not like, let's give it to CM Punk to keep him quiet because we want to get him going again, but we don't really think he's a guy. Whoever it is, like Triple H made it very clear. Listen, Roman, listen, you're a smart man for getting the schedule you got, for booking things the way you booked them, but this person is going to defend this world title. I'm like, okay, so this is going to be, it's not just going to be a sleeper title, but Doc, sir, I believe it's your turn. I believe this is how we're gonna wrap this show up with you, Doc.
All right. So a lot of them y'all mentioned, and the way I see it is based on who already has that global appeal and the experience. The reason why I agree with Shinsuke is because I felt he was robbed of his potential run when especially after him winning the Royal Rumble, or even before that, when Jinder was holding the title, only of course to appeal to the Indian market.
Yep, because they were expanding right into India.
Yeah, my thing was when it was time for Shinsuke to get it and he didn't, that still was like, okay, where are they going with this? And then we thought after he won the Rumble that he was a shoe-in for Mania, but obviously that didn't happen. So yeah, Shinsuke is of course already internationally known. So yeah, Shinsuke would definitely be that. Finn Balor is another one who is to many still Prince Devitt. So he's definitely somebody that I would think I would have thought he could have been somebody that would have beaten Cody, let's say mid-year, and then Cody would get it back and then lose it to Seth at Mania 40. But that's just me. But
I love Doc going to Mania 40 with Seth. I love it.
yeah. But no, Finn did not pick up where he left off at all after his injury, where he had to drop the Universal title the next day. Still hurts me today to see that he never got back to that level. But Finn is another one. Of course, Bobby is already well known. Seth is again the franchise without the title. Without
Absolutely.
The franchise without the title. And yes, I still say Cody. Now, here's the other thing. I have some honorable mentions.
That's you know, Doc. This is why you're the guy, because I was about to say, all right, fellas, let's just shoot off some honorable mentions that may not have made the list. So go ahead.
mean,
sir.
he's been doing this for so long.
I mean, he's a pro, man. This is like a walk in the park for Doc, man.
Let me get these honorable
OG
mentions
in the
out.
building.
One, we just mentioned AJ, and he and who knows when he'll be back. It's sad. It's real sad.
Yeah.
And look, Hugh says he's already a top ambassador for the E, plus he needs his run with the fans present. But that letter he just said, I would like to see Big E.
Yeah,
I would like to see Big E. Big E deserves another run. Big E deserves another run.
Right.
Now, I know Austin was mentioned, but I like how Austin is being groomed. I like how Austin is being groomed. Now here's the last two.
Mm-hmm.
After the performance I saw at SmackDown against Roman, I go with Riddle. I go with Matt Riddle.
Really?
I go with Matt Riddle. It's unfortunate that after that, and he had, for whatever reason, he was out. You know what I mean? But Riddle is still a hot commodity. Riddle is still a hot commodity.
He is.
And he could, and people all over the world would know who that would be able to say that. Oh, somebody said Xavier Woods. It'd be nice for him to get that. You know what I mean? But here's the last guy. Here's the sleeper. Here's the sleeper. Here's the underdog, because I still like calling him Eli Drake. Dummy. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
LA Knight somehow is going to be in that world title picture. So LA Knight.
Okay.
Brian H. Honorable mentions?
Honorable mentions. I mean, you know, Austin Theory is definitely one. Dude, is Drew McIntyre really an honorable mention?
He's like he really should have been on my list. I just like AJ. I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, like you know, if I'm looking at the future, Braun Breaker, you know, I like this new heel Braun. I think but then again, I got caught up in his trajectory before, and he plateaued. But I like the heel Braun, and I think he could be something. But that's really it. You know, I'm pretty sure. I mean, obviously, there's names out there. I like the names that Doc selected. But you know, as far as and I would say Xavier Woods, but there's a reason I'm not, and the reason why I'm not gonna say it is because Brother Brandon will probably say it because it's his idea, and he had me thinking. I was like, yeah. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. Yeah, those are, you know, Austin Theory for real. You know, I was thinking Chad Gable, but I'm like, with Chad Gable, as much charisma as he had, right?
Yeah.
It's just he's
also older.
Angle. Right. Too. So he's
a smaller guy.
Yeah. It's really hard for me to see him, you know, in that world championship picture. Now, this would be fun down the line when we looking at the NXT roster and saying who's up, you know, next for it. But you know, right now I think those are pretty much my guys. I'm trying to think, is there any Pete Dunne. I'm always gonna ride with Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne is somebody that I've always wanted him, just because I always love his intensity. I love his matches, and even with him and you know, when he was still Walter, with the matches they were putting on for the NXT UK Championship, you know, and he made me pay attention to NXT UK. So yeah, Pete Dunne.
I like Pete Dunne, but I feel like he's a long ways out because they kind of got to rebuild that character. Go ahead, Doc.
Hey, B-Dub, what do you think of Grayson Waller?
I like Grayson Waller. I like him a lot. Like his character. And I enjoyed the match him and Mello Hayes had last night. I think I don't want to say it was a one-off, but you know, it clearly didn't main event the show for a reason. And if I'm being real, y'all know I love women's wrestling, but that wasn't the strongest. Like, that wasn't the strongest women's wrestling match as far as to say I'm gonna take you away from a world title match that I really consider serious.
How about you, Brother Brandon? Any honorable mentions before you wrap up? Make sure my computer doesn't die. It's on his leg. So, brother Brandon, any honorable mentions?
Honorable mentions only because I already said Finn Balor. I'm gonna say Damian Priest because I think that can be told with Damian. And then returning from injury because I want to see him one more time be glorious. Robert Roode.
Yeah, I think if there was ever an opportunity, this would be the opportunity for a guy like that. He's definitely somebody I was thinking about. Like I was going to say it, but I was like, you know, it would take him a little bit. But
the crowd safety, he would be the person to dethrone somebody, just like he did. I mean, in that case, just run him and Shinsuke back like they did in NXT.
Yeah, I think he's been out long enough that he can be repackaged as a big deal. You know, depending on how he re-shows back up though. But
yeah, Brandon, I'm glad you said Damian Priest because when I was talking to Corey months ago, I was like, he could be the guy that would. To me, he could be the sleeper guy that could, who knows, that could take it off of Roman if it was in another direction before. I'm talking about another direction before the Judgment Day happened. But
obviously, yeah, he's already in his 40s. Does he have time?
That's why you got to hurry up. I mean, it would be sooner than later for one front. And I think, Brian, was you saying no to Xavier for the reason I said no to Xavier? Okay.
That's it was your idea. I wasn't going to take it.
No, I'm just saying. That's why I didn't include him. As much as I would love it, nope. He got to go that way.
Well, with that being said, Dr. D, Daryl Johnson, I appreciate you being with us today, brother. We appreciate you having us, just coming in and being a part of our show, man, on the first edition of the Wrestling Wrealm Now podcast party. It's truly been a party, man, just having this conversation with you and just having an opportunity to chop it up and just show the people exactly what we wow, he said Dom.
I would love it. I would love it.
Dom. I would love for Dom. Dom is prime right now.
He is though. Dom was a heat seeker. Like he walks in the building and he's just like he gets booed. But like I said, I wanted to thank you for coming on and joining us for the first edition of the Wrestling Wrealm podcast party. And we definitely have to do this again. Do you have anything you have coming up that you like to promote?
Well, I will say this. The plan next week is to go back to Jersey for 80s Wrestling Con.
Ooh, that should be good.
I know Fight Club is coming up. I know Baltimore Celeb Fest is coming up. This is all coming up in May. But I just want to say this, though. I'm glad you had asked that. I really miss us, man. I really miss us.
Miss you too, brother.
When I go to Jimmy sometimes and drive by Duburn's,
man.
And you think about the old RCW days and the ROH days, and it was there where our bond grew, and it was there. So when I think about where I was Saturday to see Gia Scott and Ray Lynn tear the house down in that 30-minute Iron Woman match at MCW, I was like, man, I wish my bros were there. I really wish my bros were there to show, especially for Gia. But we know how our lives have to be, and when it comes to priorities and everything. I ain't mad at that at all. But I do miss us. And
man, we'll definitely do it again.
Yeah, and let me just say this. I'm glad we had this talk without having to mention any kind of references from dirt sheets and everything like that, because I don't want to get, y'all know how I am. I don't want to get to the point where I keep referencing as reported by this, as reported by that. I want to get to the point where I want to say as reported by the Wrestling Wrealm, as reported by Jobber Tears, as reported by Black Wrestling, as reported by those wrestling girls, Well Minority, my nephew Corey and Mimi, Turnbuckle, All Elite Keeks, Brick Waters, Dirty Heels, Tantalizing Tony, Chris Bournet, Lady Wrestling, and as reported by Dr. D's Wrestling Show too. I want to get to that point, the black, if you will. So I really want to thank you all for still carrying y'all tradition, for still holding me down, and that's my end of story. Love y'all, brother.
Listen, man, we love you too, Doc, man. We appreciate you being on that minute. There's no better way to end it, man. So, you know what, though? Before we go, I think I have an announcement, man. I think you have made this party so successful right? In this launch of this new guest series, guess what, brothers? We're doing it again next week.
Word! Look who's coming through.
You see that?
That's
It is
the queen
officially announced
there.
right now. Yes, next week we will continue this party in our debut. That's right, you're getting back-to-back episodes of the Wrestling Wrealm Now podcast party. We will have special guest Stephanie Hardy from the Hardy Wrestling Podcast join us so we can get another beautiful female perspective on professional wrestling, her ideas, where she comes from, what she does in this industry. It is going to be a good time. So join us next week as Stephanie Hardy joins us for another rendition of the Wrestling Wrealm Now podcast party. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, same bat time, same bat channel. It's like, no, we'll see you next week. Peace.
Houston, we have a problem.
Yes!